Topic: Environmental pollution and its impact. Topic: Environmental pollution and its impact. Environmental pollution is one of the most critical challenges faced globally. It refers to the introduction of harmful substances or products into the environment that cause adverse effects on living organisms in the ecosystem. Pollution can be categorized into various types: air, water, soil, noise, and light pollution. Among these, air pollution is considered the most hazardous due to its widespread impact on human health, plant growth, and overall environmental quality. Air pollution is caused by the release of harmful gases and particulate matter into the atmosphere. The major sources of air pollution include industries, vehicle emissions, agricultural activities, and the burning of fossil fuels. These pollutants include carbon monoxide, CO, sulfur dioxide, so nitrogen oxides, no particulate matter, PM10 and PM2.5, and volatile organic compounds, VOX. The impact of air pollution on human health is severe, causing respiratory diseases, cardiovascular diseases, and even premature death. The environmental effects include global warming due to increased greenhouse gases, acid rain resulting from sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides, and depletion of the ozone layer due to chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs. Water pollution arises from the contamination of water bodies such as rivers, lakes, and oceans. Major pollutants include industrial waste, sewage, agricultural runoff containing pesticides and fertilizers, and oil spills. Water pollution leads to the deterioration of aquatic ecosystems, with harmful effects on marine life. It also poses a serious threat to human health, as contaminated water can cause diseases like cholera, dysentery, and typhoid. Soil pollution results from the introduction of toxic chemicals such as pesticides, herbicides, and heavy metals into the soil. The primary sources of soil pollution are industrial waste, agricultural activities, and improper waste disposal. Soil pollution reduces the soil's fertility, affecting agriculture and security. It also leads to the accumulation of toxic substances in the food chain. Noise pollution refers to harmful or disturbing sounds that affect human health and wildlife. Sources include industrial activities, construction work, transportation systems, and urbanization. Long-term exposure to noise pollution can lead to hearing loss, stress, sleep disturbances, and an increased risk of cardiovascular diseases. Light pollution is the excessive use of artificial lighting, particularly in urban areas, which disrupts natural ecosystems and affects human circadian rhythms. It can lead to disorientation in nocturnal animals and interfere with astronomical observations. Environmental pollution is governed by national and international laws aimed at controlling the emission of pollutants. The Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act of 1981 and the Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act of 1974 are key legislative measures in India. The establishment of regulatory bodies like the Central Pollution Control Board (CPCB) and State Pollution Control Boards (SPCB) has helped in monitoring and reducing pollution levels. The impact of environmental pollution is not just localized but has global ramifications. The rise in pollution levels contributes significantly to climate change, biodiversity loss, and the destruction of ecosystems. Solutions to mitigate pollution include reducing emissions through cleaner technologies, promoting renewable energy sources, implementing stricter waste management practices, and raising public awareness about the importance of a clean environment. Previous year questions. Question: which of the following is considered the most hazardous form of pollution in terms of its global impact? A. Water pollution. B. Soil pollution. C. Air pollution. D. Noise pollution. Answer: C. Air pollution. Year 2021. Question: the primary sources of water pollution include all of the following except A. Industrial waste. B. Agricultural runoff. C. Motor vehicle emissions. D. Sewage. Answer: C. Motor vehicle emissions. Year 2019. Question: Question: which of the following is considered the most hazardous form of pollution in terms of its global impact? A. Water pollution. B. Soil pollution. C. Air pollution. D. Noise pollution. Answer: C. Air pollution. Year 2021. Question: the primary sources of water pollution include all of the following except A. Industrial waste. B. Agricultural runoff. C. Motor vehicle emissions. D. Sewage. Answer: C. Motor vehicle emissions. Year 2019. Question: which of the following pollutants is most responsible for acid rain? A. Carbon dioxide. B. Nitrogen oxides. C. Sulfur dioxide. D. Methane. Answer: C. Question: the primary sources of water pollution include all of the following except A. Industrial waste. B. Agricultural runoff. C. Motor vehicle emissions. D. Sewage. Answer: C. Motor vehicle emissions. Year 2019. Question: which of the following pollutants is most responsible for acid rain? A. Carbon dioxide. B. Nitrogen oxides. C. Sulfur dioxide. D. Methane. Answer: C. Sulfur dioxide. Year 2020. Question: the Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act was passed in A. 1974. B. 1981. C. 1991. D. 2000. Answer: B. 1981. Year 2020. Question: noise pollution is primarily caused by A. Industries. B. Excessive use of fossil fuels. C. Transportation systems. D. Agricultural runoff. Answer: C. Transportation systems. Year 2022. Question: which of the following is the main consequence of light pollution? A. Disruption of the water cycle. B. Destruction of nocturnal ecosystems. C. Soil erosion. D. Air quality degradation. Answer: B. Destruction of nocturnal ecosystems. Year 2021. This lecture provides detailed insights into environmental pollution and its impact, preparing you for relevant sections of the UGC NET JRF Environmental Science exam. If you need further elaboration on any specific subtopic or more practice questions, feel free to let me know. You said. People, development and environment. Chat. Question: which of the following is considered the most hazardous form of pollution in terms of its global impact? A. Water pollution. B. Soil pollution. C. Air pollution. D. Noise pollution. Answer: C. Air pollution. Year 2021. Question: the primary sources of water pollution include all of the following except A. Industrial waste. B. Agricultural runoff. C. Motor vehicle emissions. D. Sewage. Answer: C. Motor vehicle emissions. Year 2019. Question: which of the following pollutants is most responsible for acid rain? A. Carbon dioxide. B. Nitrogen oxides. C. Sulfur dioxide. D. Methane. Answer: C. Sulfur dioxide. Year 2020. Question: the Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act was passed in A. 1974. B. 1981. C. 1991. D. 2000. Answer: B. 1981. Year 2020. Question: noise pollution is primarily caused by A. Industries. B. Excessive use of fossil fuels. C. Transportation systems. D. Agricultural runoff. Answer: C. Transportation systems. Year 2022. Question: which of the following is the main consequence of light pollution? A. Disruption of the water cycle. B. Destruction of nocturnal ecosystems. C. Soil erosion. D. Air quality degradation. Answer: B. Destruction of nocturnal ecosystems. Year 2021. This lecture provides detailed insights into environmental pollution and its impact. Question. Which of the following is the main consequence of light pollution? A. Disruption of the water cycle. B. Destruction of nocturnal ecosystems. C. Soil erosion. D. Air quality degradation. Answer. B. Destruction of nocturnal ecosystems. Year 2021. If you need further elaboration on any specific subtopic or more practice questions, feel free to let me know. If you need further elaboration, if you need further elaboration on any specific subtopic or more practice questions, feel free to let me know. You said. People, development and environment, development and environment. ChatGPT said. Development and environment. The relationship between development and the environment has been one of the most debated issues in contemporary environmental science and policy. Development generally refers to the progress of human societies through the expansion of economic, social, and technological capacities. However, the pursuit of development often brings challenges to the natural environment. As societies strive to improve their quality of life, they frequently do so at the cost of natural resources and ecological balance. Development, in its conventional sense, is often synonymous with industrialization, urbanization, and the exploitation of natural resources. This has led to the degradation of ecosystems, the depletion of biodiversity, and the intensification of pollution. As economies grow, natural resources are used more rapidly for infrastructure, manufacturing, and transportation, often leading to the destruction of forests, soil erosion, water pollution, and habitat loss. Environmental degradation caused by unchecked development is a critical concern, as it exacerbates problems such as climate change, deforestation, desertification, and air and water pollution. For instance, rapid industrialization leads to the burning of fossil fuels, which contributes to greenhouse gas emissions and global warming. Similarly, unplanned urbanization leads to the destruction of natural habitats, negatively impacting biodiversity. However, the relationship between development and the environment is not entirely negative. Sustainable development, a concept that has gained prominence in recent decades, aims to balance economic growth with environmental protection. Sustainable development focuses on meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. This approach promotes the use of renewable resources, efficient energy use, and the reduction of waste and pollution. The concept of sustainable development was formally articulated in the Brundtland Report 1987, which defined it as development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. The report emphasized the need for integrating economic, social, and environmental concerns in development planning. It called for a shift toward more sustainable practices, including the development of clean technologies, the reduction of resource consumption, and the incorporation of environmental considerations into economic policies. Key principles of sustainable development. Intergenerational equity. This principle holds that current generations should manage resources in such a way that future generations are not deprived of the ability to meet their own needs. Environmental conservation. It advocates for minimizing environmental degradation and conserving biodiversity through effective management of natural resources. Social inclusion and equity. Sustainable development also emphasizes the need for equitable development, where all segments of society, especially marginalized groups, benefit from economic growth. Economic sustainability. Sustainable development promotes efficient resource utilization, minimizes waste, and encourages the use of renewable resources to maintain economic stability without overexploiting the environment. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs), adopted in 2015, provide a comprehensive global framework for promoting development that benefits people while preserving the planet. These goals cover areas like poverty reduction, clean energy, sustainable consumption, and climate action, aiming to foster a harmonious relationship between development and environmental protection. In contrast, unsustainable development refers to practices that deplete natural resources, harm the environment, and compromise social equity. This type of development typically prioritizes short-term economic gains over long-term environmental and social sustainability, which can result in irreversible environmental damage and social inequalities. The environmental consequences of development have prompted many countries and international organizations to rethink development strategies and adopt green economy approaches. A green economy is one that aims to reduce environmental risks and ecological scarcities while promoting social equity and economic growth. It includes investments in clean energy, energy efficiency, sustainable agriculture, and responsible consumption and production patterns. Previous year questions. Question. Which of the following is not a characteristic of sustainable development? A. Economic growth without harming the environment. B. Conservation of biodiversity. C. Maximizing the exploitation of non-renewable resources. D. Equity and social inclusion. Answer. C. Maximizing the exploitation of non-renewable resources. Year 2020. Question. The Brundtland Report is associated with which of the following concepts? A. Green economy. B. Sustainable development. C. Climate change mitigation. D. Biodiversity conservation. Answer. B. Sustainable development. Year 2019. Question. Which of the following is a key principle of sustainable development? A. Short-term economic benefits over environmental conservation. B. Intergenerational equity. C. Uncontrolled resource exploitation. D. Fostering economic growth at any cost. Answer. B. Intergenerational equity. Year 2021. Question. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) were adopted in A. 1992. B. 2000. C. 2015. D. 2020. Answer. C. 2015. Year 2021. Question. A green economy aims to A. Maximize fossil fuel use. B. Promote social equity and environmental sustainability. C. Focus on short-term economic growth without environmental consideration. D. Promote industrialization without environmental regulations. Answer. B. Promote social equity and environmental sustainability. Year 2022. Question. Which of the following is an example of unsustainable development? A. Reforestation. B. Wind energy projects. C. Exploiting fossil fuels without measures to reduce emissions. D. Circular economy practices. Answer. C. Exploiting fossil fuels without measures to reduce emissions. Year 2020. This lecture should give you a solid understanding of the crucial relationship between development and environmental concerns. If you need further elaboration or additional topics covered, feel free to ask. You said. Millennium Development and Sustainable Development Goals. ChatGPT said. Millennium Development Goals (MDGs) and Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs). The Millennium Development Goals (MDGs) and the Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) represent two landmark global frameworks aimed at addressing poverty, inequality, and environmental sustainability. While both sets of goals share similar overarching themes, the SDGs mark an evolution in the approach to global development, with a more inclusive and comprehensive agenda. Millennium Development Goals (MDGs). The MDGs were established in the year 2000 during the United Nations Millennium Summit. These goals aim to eradicate extreme poverty and hunger, achieve universal primary education, promote gender equality, reduce child mortality, improve maternal health, combat HIV/AIDS, ensure environmental sustainability, and build a global partnership for development. A total of 8 goals were outlined, with each goal having measurable targets to be achieved by 2015. The 8 MDGs. Eradicate extreme poverty and hunger. The first goal aimed to have the proportion of people living on less than $1 a day and achieve full and productive employment and decent work for all, including women and young people. It also aimed to reduce the proportion of people suffering from hunger. Achieve universal primary education. This goal sought to ensure that all boys and girls complete a full course of primary schooling. Promote gender equality and empower women. The goal aimed to eliminate gender disparity in primary and secondary education, ensuring equal access to all levels of education. Reduce child mortality. Targeted at reducing the under 5 mortality rate by 2/3, this goal sought to ensure that more children survive their early years. Improve maternal health. This goal focused on reducing the maternal mortality ratio by 3/4 and achieving universal access to reproductive health. Combat HIV/AIDS, malaria, and other diseases. The goal aimed to halt and reverse the spread of HIV/AIDS, as well as the incidence of malaria and other diseases. Ensure environmental sustainability. The target was to integrate the principles of sustainable development into country policies and programs and reverse the loss of environmental resources. It also aimed to reduce the proportion of people without access to safe drinking water and sanitation. Develop a global partnership for development. This goal focused on creating an open, rules-based trading and financial system, addressing the special needs of the least developed countries, and increasing the availability of affordable drugs and technologies. Achievements of the MDGs. While the MDGs made significant progress, especially in areas like reducing extreme poverty, improving access to education, and combating diseases like HIV/AIDS, the goals were criticized for their narrow focus and lack of integration of environmental sustainability. Many of the goals had limited scope and did not adequately address issues like inequality or environmental degradation. Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs). In September 2015, the United Nations adopted the Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) as a part of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Unlike the MDGs, which focused on specific areas, the SDGs are much broader and aim to address the root causes of poverty and the universal need for development that works for all people. The SDGs are a universal call to action for all countries to improve life for future generations, while ensuring environmental sustainability. The SDGs consist of 17 goals and 169 targets, covering a wide range of global challenges, from poverty and inequality to climate change and environmental protection. Unlike the MDGs, the SDGs focus not only on developing countries but also on developed nations, emphasizing inclusivity and leaving no one behind. The 17 SDGs: number poverty. End poverty in all its forms everywhere. Zero hunger. End hunger. Achieve food security, improve nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture. Good health and well-being. Ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. Quality education. Ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. Gender equality. Achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. Clean water and sanitation. Ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. Affordable and clean energy. Ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. Decent work and economic growth. Promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. Industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. Reduce inequality. Reduce inequality within and among countries. Sustainable cities and communities. Make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. Responsible consumption and production ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. Climate action. Take urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts. Life below water. Conserve and sustainably use the oceans, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. Life on land. Protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems, manage forests, combat desertification, halt and reverse land degradation, and halt biodiversity loss. Peace, justice, and strong institutions. Promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. Partnerships for the goals. Strengthen the means of implementation and revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development. Key differences between MDGs and SDGs. Scope and inclusivity. The SDGs are more inclusive, addressing not only global poverty but also environmental sustainability, inequality, and social justice. The MDGs mainly focus on developing countries, whereas the SDGs are universal, applying to all nations. Integration and interdependence. The SDGs are interlinked, emphasizing that achieving one goal often depends on the progress made in others, e.g., quality education is linked to poverty eradication. The MDGs, by contrast, had isolated targets. Environmental focus. While the MDGs did include environmental sustainability, it was not a central focus. The SDGs, on the other hand, have a strong emphasis on the environment, addressing issues such as climate change, marine pollution, and ecosystem degradation. Long-term agenda. The SDGs are set to be achieved by 2030, providing a more long-term and ambitious framework compared to the MDGs, which had a deadline of 2015. Previous year questions. Question. The Millennium Development Goals (MDGs) were adopted in A. 1990. B. 2000. C. 2010. D. 2020. Answer. B. 2000. Year. 2021. Question. The main difference between the Millennium Development Goals (MDGs) and Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) is that SDGs A. focus only on developed countries. B. include environmental sustainability as a central theme. C. are less ambitious than the MDGs. D. exclude poverty eradication. B. include environmental sustainability as a central theme. C. are less ambitious than the MDGs. D. exclude poverty eradication. Answer. B. include environmental sustainability as a central theme. Year. 2020. Question. The Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) aim to be achieved by A. 2025. B. 2030. C. 2040. D. 2050. Answer. B. 2030. Year. 2022. Question. Which of the following is the core focus of the Sustainable Development Goal 13? A. Ensure clean water and sanitation. B. Take urgent action to combat climate change. C. End hunger. D. Ensure economic growth. Answer. B. Take urgent action to combat climate change. Year. 2021. Question. The Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) consist of A. 10 goals. B. 12 goals. C. 17 goals. D. 20 goals. Answer. C. 17 goals. Year. 2020. This lecture provides a thorough comparison between the MDGs and SDGs, highlighting their evolution, key differences, and the global context. If you need further information or additional topics covered, feel free to ask. You said. Human and environment interaction. ChatGPT said. Human and environment interaction. Human environment interaction refers to the ways in which humans and the natural environment influence each other. This relationship is multifaceted and can be understood through the various processes by which human activities modify the environment, and how environmental factors, in turn, impact human societies. Understanding this interaction is crucial for addressing current environmental issues, such as climate change, pollution, and the degradation of natural resources, which are often exacerbated by human activities. 1. Types of human-environment interactions. Modification of the environment. Humans have significantly altered their environment through activities such as agriculture, deforestation, urbanization, and industrialization. For instance, agriculture has transformed vast areas of land into farmland, changing ecosystems and reducing biodiversity. Urbanization leads to the creation of cities and infrastructure, often replacing natural landscapes with concrete and steel. Deforestation for timber, agriculture, and urban development can lead to soil erosion, loss of habitat, and disruption of local water cycles. Resource use and exploitation. Humans have historically relied on natural resources for survival and economic development, including fossil fuels, water, forests, and minerals. The extraction and use of these resources often result in environmental degradation. For example, mining activities can lead to soil contamination and the destruction of ecosystems, while the overuse of water resources can lead to the depletion of freshwater supplies, affecting agriculture and human settlements. Pollution. Industrialization and urbanization have led to the production of pollutants such as air emissions, industrial waste, and chemical runoff, all of which can damage ecosystems and harm human health. Air pollution from vehicles and factories can result in respiratory diseases, while water pollution from agricultural runoff can lead to the contamination of drinking water sources, affecting both humans and aquatic life. Climate change. Human activities, particularly the burning of fossil fuels for energy, transportation, and industry, have led to the accumulation of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. This has caused global warming, resulting in shifts in weather patterns, rising sea levels, and increased frequency of extreme weather events, such as hurricanes, droughts, and floods. These changes have direct and indirect impacts on agriculture, water resources, and human settlements, necessitating adaptations to new environmental conditions. 2. Environmental impact on humans. Health and well-being. Environmental factors can have profound effects on human health. Pollution, for instance, can lead to respiratory diseases, cancers, and cardiovascular conditions. Additionally, the spread of diseases can be influenced by environmental conditions, such as waterborne diseases resulting from contaminated drinking water or vector-borne diseases like malaria, which is affected by changes in temperature and rainfall. Resource scarcity. Overexploitation of natural resources can lead to resource scarcity, affecting food production, water availability, and energy supplies. Deforestation and soil erosion can lead to a decline in agricultural productivity, while the overuse of groundwater can deplete aquifers, leading to water shortages. This scarcity can lead to conflicts over resources, migration, and socioeconomic instability. Vulnerability to natural disasters. Human settlements, particularly in floodplains, coastal areas, and areas prone to earthquakes or landslides, are vulnerable to natural disasters. However, human activities can exacerbate these risks. For example, deforestation increases the likelihood of landslides, and the destruction of wetlands reduces the natural buffering capacity against floods. 3. Human adaptation to environmental changes. Humans have developed various ways to adapt to environmental changes, both natural and human-induced. This adaptability is seen in the development of agricultural techniques, the construction of cities and infrastructure, and the establishment of policies to address environmental challenges. Agricultural practices. In response to changing environmental conditions, humans have adapted their agricultural practices. Techniques such as irrigation, terracing, crop rotation, and selective breeding of plants and animals have allowed humans to cope with varying environmental conditions. However, unsustainable agricultural practices, such as monoculture farming, excessive pesticide use, and overgrazing, can degrade the land and reduce its ability to support future generations. Technological innovations. Humans have also turned to technology to address environmental challenges. Renewable energy sources, such as solar, wind, and hydroelectric power, are being increasingly used to reduce dependence on fossil fuels and mitigate climate change. Advances in water conservation technologies, such as drip irrigation and water-efficient appliances, help address the growing water scarcity issues. Policy and governance. Governments and international organizations play a crucial role in managing human-environment interactions through policies aimed at sustainability. Laws regulating pollution, waste management, and conservation of biodiversity are examples of measures aimed at reducing negative environmental impacts. The Paris Agreement, for instance, is a global accord aimed at limiting global temperature rise and combating climate change. 4. Sustainable development and human-environment interaction. Sustainable development is an approach to growth that seeks to balance economic, social, and environmental objectives, ensuring that the needs of the present are met without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. It recognizes the interconnectedness between human society and the environment. Sustainable practices aim to reduce the environmental footprint of human activities while promoting economic growth and social equity. Sustainable agriculture. Sustainable agricultural practices focus on minimizing environmental impacts, conserving natural resources, and ensuring food security. These practices include crop diversification, agroforestry, organic farming, and soil conservation techniques, which help preserve biodiversity and ecosystem services. Conservation and preservation of ecosystems. Ecosystem-based approaches to conservation aim to protect and restore ecosystems while ensuring that human development can continue. Strategies such as the establishment of protected areas, the restoration of degraded ecosystems, and the promotion of sustainable land use are central to this approach. 5. Previous year questions. Question. Which of the following is an example of human modification of the environment? A. Deforestation. B. Cyclone. C. Ocean currents. D. Volcanic eruptions. Answer. A. Deforestation. Year 2019. Question. The primary cause of global warming is A. Greenhouse gas emissions. B. Volcanic activity. C. Changes in solar radiation. D. Ocean currents. Answer. A. Greenhouse gas emissions. Year 2020. Question. Which of the following is a major environmental concern associated with urbanization? A. Loss of biodiversity. B. Soil erosion. C. Ocean acidification. D. Global cooling. Answer. A. Loss of biodiversity. Year 5. Previous year questions. Question. Which of the following is an example of human modification of the environment? A. Deforestation. B. Cyclone. C. Ocean currents. D. Volcanic eruptions. Answer. A. Deforestation. Year 2019. Question. The primary cause of global warming is A. Greenhouse gas emissions. B. Volcanic activity. C. Changes in solar radiation. D. Ocean currents. Answer. A. Greenhouse gas emissions. Year 2020. Question. Which of the following is a major environmental concern associated with urbanization? A. Loss of biodiversity. B. Soil erosion. C. Ocean acidification. D. Global cooling. Answer. A. Loss of biodiversity. Year 2021. Question. Overuse of groundwater resources can lead to A. Desertification. B. Deforestation. C. Soil erosion. D. Water scarcity. Answer. D. Water scarcity. Year 2022. Question. Which of the following practices is most associated with reducing the environmental footprint in agriculture? A. Monoculture farming. B. Crop rotation. C. Pesticide use. D. Soil degradation. Answer. B. Crop rotation. Year 2020. This lecture comprehensively addresses the interaction between humans and the environment, offering insights into the impacts of human activities, the effects of environmental changes on humans, and potential solutions through sustainable practices. If you need more information on this or any other topic, feel free to ask. You said. Anthropogenic activities and their impacts on environment. ChatGPT said. Anthropogenic activities and their impacts on the environment. Anthropogenic activities refer to human actions that significantly alter or influence the environment. These activities have profound effects on ecosystems, biodiversity, and the planet's overall health. Over the years, human development, industrialization, and urbanization have led to extensive environmental changes, some of which have caused irreversible damage to natural systems. Understanding these impacts is crucial for mitigating the negative consequences and moving towards sustainable practices. 1. Types of anthropogenic activities. Deforestation and land use change. Deforestation is one of the most impactful anthropogenic activities, driven primarily by the need for agricultural land, timber extraction, and urbanization. Forests, which act as carbon sinks and support biodiversity, are cleared for various uses. This leads to habitat loss, reduction in biodiversity, soil erosion, and a decrease in the capacity of the land to hold carbon, thereby contributing to climate change. Furthermore, deforestation disrupts local water cycles, leading to reduced rainfall and increased desertification in some regions. Industrialization and urbanization. Industrialization has led to the increased extraction and utilization of fossil fuels, minerals, and other natural resources. This has resulted in the contamination of air, water, and soil with pollutants such as carbon dioxide, CO2, sulfur dioxide, CO2, nitrogen oxides, NOx, and particulate matter PM. The establishment of cities and industries also leads to the depletion of natural resources, destruction of ecosystems, and the loss of agricultural land. Urbanization, while beneficial for economic development, exacerbates pollution, generates waste, and contributes to the heat island effect, where urban areas become significantly warmer than rural surroundings. Agriculture and fertilizer use. Agriculture is a key anthropogenic activity that directly impacts the environment. Modern agricultural practices, including monoculture farming, pesticide use, and intensive irrigation, often lead to the degradation of soil quality, water depletion, and the destruction of natural habitats. The use of chemical fertilizers leads to nutrient runoff into rivers and lakes, causing eutrophication, which depletes oxygen levels in water bodies and kills aquatic life. Additionally, livestock farming contributes significantly to methane emissions, a potent greenhouse gas. Fossil fuel extraction and use. The extraction and combustion of fossil fuels, coal, oil, and natural gas are major contributors to environmental degradation. Fossil fuel extraction often leads to habitat destruction, air and water pollution, and soil contamination. The burning of fossil fuels for energy production and transportation is the primary source of greenhouse gases, particularly carbon dioxide, CO2, which accelerates climate change by trapping heat in the atmosphere. Waste generation and landfills. Human societies produce large amounts of waste, including plastics, chemicals, electronic waste, and food waste. Improper disposal of these materials can lead to contamination of soil, water, and air. For instance, plastic waste, which is non-biodegradable, accumulates in landfills and marine environments, harming wildlife and polluting ecosystems. Hazardous waste, including heavy metals and industrial chemicals, can leach into the groundwater, causing long-term health and environmental risks. 2. Major environmental impacts of anthropogenic activities. Climate change. One of the most significant environmental impacts of anthropogenic activities is climate change. The burning of fossil fuels for energy production, deforestation, and agricultural practices release large amounts of greenhouse gases (GHGs) into the atmosphere, primarily CO2, methane (CH4), and nitrous oxide (N2O). These gases trap heat, leading to global warming. Climate change has far-reaching consequences, including rising global temperatures, more frequent and intense extreme weather events such as hurricanes, droughts, and floods, changes in precipitation patterns, and rising sea levels. Biodiversity loss. Anthropogenic activities have led to widespread habitat destruction, pollution, and the introduction of invasive species, all of which contribute to the rapid decline of biodiversity. The International Union for Conservation of Nature (IUCN) estimates that 1 million species are at risk of extinction due to human activities. Deforestation, agriculture, and urbanization reduce the natural habitats of wildlife, while pollution and climate change further exacerbate the pressure on ecosystems. The loss of biodiversity undermines ecosystem services, such as pollination, pest control, and carbon sequestration, which are vital for human survival. Air and water pollution. The combustion of fossil fuels, industrial emissions, and agricultural activities release various pollutants into the air and water. Air pollution, characterized by the presence of particulate matter, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides, and volatile organic compounds, poses significant health risks, including respiratory diseases, cardiovascular diseases, and premature death. Water pollution, caused by agricultural runoff, industrial waste, and sewage, contaminates freshwater supplies, leading to the spread of diseases, loss of aquatic life, and the degradation of water quality. Eutrophication, resulting from excess nutrients in water bodies, causes oxygen depletion and fish kills. Soil degradation. Anthropogenic activities such as deforestation, agriculture, and mining result in soil degradation. Overgrazing by livestock, deforestation, and the use of heavy machinery for farming contribute to soil erosion, which diminishes the land's fertility. The use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides degrades soil health, reducing its ability to support crops and leading to the contamination of water supplies with harmful chemicals. Ozone layer depletion. The use of chlorofluorocarbons (CFCs) and halons in refrigeration, air conditioning, and aerosol propellants led to the depletion of the ozone layer, which protects life on Earth from harmful ultraviolet UV radiation. Although the Montreal Protocol, which came into effect in 1989, has helped phase out the use of CFCs, recovery of the ozone layer is still a gradual process. Resource depletion. Overconsumption of natural resources, including fossil fuels, freshwater, minerals, and forests, leads to resource depletion. The extraction of non-renewable resources, such as coal, oil, and natural gas, is unsustainable and results in long-term environmental damage. Overuse of renewable resources, such as water and forests, without sufficient replenishment can lead to shortages and ecosystem collapse. 3. Mitigation measures for anthropogenic impacts. Sustainable development. Sustainable development aims to meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. This involves adopting practices that promote environmental conservation, reduce resource consumption, and minimize waste. Sustainable development principles focus on the integration of economic, social, and environmental objectives. Renewable energy transition. Shifting from fossil fuels to renewable energy sources such as solar, wind, hydro, and geothermal energy can significantly reduce greenhouse gas emissions and mitigate climate change. Renewable energy is sustainable, and its use has far fewer environmental impacts compared to conventional energy sources. Conservation of biodiversity. Protecting natural habitats through the establishment of protected areas, reducing habitat destruction, and implementing conservation programs for endangered species are essential steps in preventing biodiversity loss. In addition, sustainable agricultural practices and responsible forestry can help preserve ecosystems and reduce the negative impact of human activities on wildlife. Waste management and recycling. Proper waste management, including recycling and composting, can reduce the environmental impact of waste. Reducing plastic use, promoting biodegradable materials, and minimizing waste generation are key steps in addressing the growing issue of waste management. 4. Previous year questions. Question. Which of the following is not a direct consequence of deforestation? A. Soil erosion. B. Reduced biodiversity. C. Increased carbon sequestration. D. Disruption of water cycles. Answer. C. Increased carbon sequestration. Year 2019. Question. Which human activity is most responsible for the depletion of the ozone layer? A. Mining. B. Use of chlorofluorocarbons. CFCs. C. Agriculture. D. Urbanization. Answer. B. Use of chlorofluorocarbons. CFCs. Year 2020. Question. What is the major environmental concern associated with intensive agriculture? A. Loss of biodiversity. B. Ozone depletion. C. Soil erosion. D. Air pollution. Answer. C. Soil erosion. Year 2021. Question. Which of the following contributes most to global warming? A. Deforestation. B. Water pollution. C. Greenhouse gas emissions. D. Overfishing. Answer. C. Greenhouse gas emissions. Year 2022. Question. The release of which gas is primarily responsible for the greenhouse effect? A. Nitrogen. B. Carbon dioxide. C. Oxygen. D. Argon. Answer: B. Carbon dioxide year, 2020. This lecture comprehensively outlines the anthropogenic activities and their impacts on the environment, providing a deeper understanding of the challenges faced by ecosystems and the planet. If you need further elaboration or more questions, feel free to ask. You said. Environmental issues, local, ChatGPT said. Environmental issues, local perspectives. Environmental issues are not limited to global concerns such as climate change or deforestation but are also deeply rooted in local contexts. Local environmental issues can vary greatly depending on geographical location, economic activities, population density, and cultural practices. These issues often affect the daily lives of local communities and require targeted solutions tailored to the specific environmental conditions of the area. Local environmental problems can range from air and water pollution to land degradation, loss of biodiversity, and waste management issues. 1. Air pollution. Air pollution is a significant concern in urban areas, especially those with high population densities and industrial activities. The primary sources of air pollution include vehicle emissions, industrial discharge, power plants, and construction activities. In local contexts, poor air quality can lead to respiratory diseases, cardiovascular issues, and premature death. In many developing countries, the burning of biomass wood, crop residues, etc. in households also contributes significantly to indoor air pollution. For instance, cities like Delhi, India face severe air pollution during winter due to a combination of vehicle emissions, crop burning in neighboring states, and industrial emissions. The local impact of air pollution includes smog, reduced visibility, respiratory illnesses, and a decline in quality of life. Key causes of local air pollution. Vehicle emissions, carbon monoxide, particulate matter. Industrial activities, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides. Biomass burning, indoor and outdoor air pollution. Waste burning, plastic and organic waste. Local impact. Respiratory and cardiovascular diseases. Decline in air quality and visibility. Acid rain and environmental degradation. 2. Water pollution. Water pollution is a critical issue in many localities, particularly in areas where untreated sewage and industrial waste are discharged into rivers, lakes, and coastal areas. The contamination of water sources with heavy metals, chemicals, and biological pollutants such as pathogens makes water unsafe for drinking, bathing, and irrigation. This can lead to waterborne diseases, environmental degradation, and loss of aquatic biodiversity. In many local areas, especially near industrial hubs or rapidly growing urban centers, water bodies are polluted by untreated sewage, agricultural runoff, pesticides, fertilizers, and industrial effluents. For example, the Ganges River in India faces high levels of pollution from both domestic and industrial sources, which affect the local populations relying on the river for drinking water and sanitation. Key causes of local water pollution. Industrial discharge of chemicals and heavy metals. Agricultural runoff containing pesticides and fertilizers. Untreated sewage disposal. Plastic waste and solid waste in water bodies. Local impact. Spread of waterborne diseases, cholera, dysentery. Decline in aquatic biodiversity, fish kills, loss of species. Reduced access to clean water. Destruction of aquatic ecosystems. 3. Land degradation. Land degradation, including soil erosion, desertification, and deforestation, is a major local environmental issue that negatively impacts agricultural productivity, biodiversity, and local economies. In many parts of the world, unsustainable farming practices, overgrazing, deforestation, and urban sprawl contribute to the degradation of fertile land. In semi-arid regions or areas that face intensive agricultural use, soil erosion and desertification are major concerns. The loss of topsoil due to overfarming, deforestation, or improper land management practices leads to decreased soil fertility and agricultural productivity. For instance, parts of sub-Saharan Africa and Central Asia are experiencing severe desertification due to overgrazing and deforestation. Key causes of local land degradation. Unsustainable agricultural practices, overcultivation, monocropping. Deforestation and loss of vegetation. Overgrazing by livestock. Urban sprawl and infrastructure development. Local impact. Decreased agricultural productivity. Loss of habitat for local flora and fauna. Increased frequency of floods and landslides. Economic losses in agricultural communities. 4. Waste management. Improper waste disposal and ineffective waste management systems are common environmental issues in many urban and rural areas. Localities with inadequate waste management infrastructure often face the challenge of accumulating waste, particularly plastic waste, which is not biodegradable. Waste disposal in landfills or the open burning of waste releases harmful toxins into the air, soil, and water. In many cities, particularly in developing countries, waste is often left unmanaged or improperly disposed of, resulting in clogged drains, unsightly garbage heaps, and the breeding of disease vectors such as mosquitoes and rats. Local communities often suffer from poor sanitation and the health risks associated with improperly managed waste. Key causes of local waste management issues. Lack of proper waste collection and disposal infrastructure. Excessive use of single-use plastics. Open burning of waste, including plastics and electronics. Uncontrolled dumping of waste into water bodies or open land. Local impact. Air and water pollution from waste burning. Spread of disease due to unsanitary conditions. Aesthetic and health-related concerns for communities. Loss of productive land due to waste accumulation. 5. Loss of local biodiversity. Local biodiversity loss is often driven by habitat destruction, pollution, climate change, and invasive species. In many regions, local species face the threat of extinction due to human activities such as deforestation, urbanization, and agricultural expansion. The destruction of forests, wetlands, and grasslands leads to the fragmentation of habitats, reducing the capacity of ecosystems to support diverse species. In places where biodiversity is already under threat, such as tropical rainforests or coral reef ecosystems, local populations and ecosystems face a higher risk of species loss. For example, the deforestation of the Amazon rainforest has led to the loss of numerous plant and animal species unique to the region. Key causes of local biodiversity loss. Deforestation and land use changes. Pollution and contamination of ecosystems. Introduction of invasive species. Climate change and its local effects. Local impact. Loss of species that are vital for local ecosystems, e.g., pollinators. Disruption of ecosystem services, e.g., water purification, soil fertility. Decline in food and medicinal resources from local species. Economic loss due to a reduction in ecotourism. 6. Local climate change effects. Local climate change effects are a direct result of global climate change but have very specific local manifestations. Rising temperatures, altered precipitation patterns, and more extreme weather events such as floods, droughts, and storms impact local communities differently based on their geographical location, infrastructure, and socioeconomic conditions. For example, coastal areas may face the risk of rising sea levels, while arid regions may experience prolonged droughts and water scarcity. In many areas, these local changes are already affecting agriculture, infrastructure, and water resources. In low-lying island nations, local populations face the direct threat of displacement due to rising sea levels, while desertification in Africa threatens local livelihoods that depend on agriculture and pastoralism. Key causes of local climate change effects. Global warming driven by greenhouse gas emissions. Local deforestation and land use changes. Unsustainable agricultural practices. Local impact. Increased frequency of droughts and floods. Altered growing seasons and crop failures. Water shortages and scarcity. Increased vulnerability of local populations to extreme weather events. Previous year questions. Question: which of the following is the primary cause of local water pollution in urban areas? A. Industrial waste discharge. B. Natural sedimentation. C. Agricultural runoff. D. Volcanic activity. Answer: A. Industrial waste discharge year, 2018. Question: which of the following activities contributes most to local land degradation in semi-arid regions? A. Overgrazing. B. Industrialization. C. Urbanization. D. Mining. Answer: A. Overgrazing year, 2019. Question: in many urban areas, improper waste management often leads to which of the following environmental issues? A. Soil erosion. B. Loss of biodiversity. C. Water pollution. D. Air pollution. Answer: C. Water pollution year, 2020. Question. Which of the following is a major local environmental issue caused by deforestation? A. Soil erosion. B. Water pollution. C. Loss of biodiversity. D. All of the above. Answer. D. All of the above. Year 2021. Question. Which human activity is most responsible for the loss of local biodiversity in tropical rainforests? A. Deforestation. B. Urbanization. C. Overfishing. D. Pesticide use. Answer. A. Deforestation. Year 2020. By focusing on local environmental issues, we can better understand the specific challenges faced by communities and ecosystems, allowing for more effective and targeted mitigation strategies. You said. Regional ChatGPT said. Environmental issues. Regional perspectives. Environmental issues at the regional level are those that affect larger geographic areas, such as specific ecosystems, provinces, or regions within a country. These issues are typically more complex than local environmental problems and often result from a combination of natural processes and human activities. Regional environmental problems can have widespread effects, often impacting multiple communities, local economies, and ecosystems. These challenges frequently require cooperative efforts between neighboring regions, national governments, and international bodies for effective resolution. 1. Desertification and land degradation in arid and semi-arid regions. Desertification, the process by which fertile land becomes desert as a result of drought, deforestation, or inappropriate agriculture, is a significant regional issue in many parts of the world. This issue is most severe in semi-arid regions, where poor land management practices exacerbate the problem. Countries in sub-Saharan Africa, Central Asia, and parts of the Mediterranean region are heavily affected by desertification. In regions such as the Sahel in Africa, desertification leads to the loss of arable land, reduced agricultural productivity, and displacement of local populations. Human activities such as overgrazing, deforestation, and the overuse of water resources for agriculture contribute to the problem, as does the changing climate that exacerbates drought conditions. Key causes of desertification: overgrazing by livestock, deforestation and unsustainable logging, agricultural expansion without soil conservation measures, climate change leading to reduced rainfall, regional impact, reduced agricultural productivity, loss of biodiversity and wildlife habitats, increased poverty and food insecurity, migration of affected populations to urban areas or across borders. 2. Deforestation and habitat loss in tropical regions. Deforestation, particularly in tropical rainforests, is a pressing regional issue with global consequences. Large-scale deforestation in regions like the Amazon Basin, Southeast Asia, and Central Africa threatens biodiversity, disrupts local and regional climates, and contributes to global climate change. Tropical forests play a critical role in carbon sequestration, and their destruction contributes significantly to greenhouse gas emissions. In countries like Brazil, Indonesia, and the Democratic Republic of Congo, forests are cleared for agriculture, logging, and infrastructure development. The loss of these forests leads to the loss of biodiversity, with many species becoming endangered or extinct. Additionally, deforestation disrupts the water cycle, causing changes in local and regional rainfall patterns and contributing to the onset of droughts. Key causes of deforestation: commercial logging and illegal timber trade, agricultural expansion, e.g., palm oil, soybean, and cattle farming, infrastructure development, roads, urbanization, fires used for land clearing, regional impact, loss of biodiversity and species extinction, disruption of regional water cycles and altered rainfall patterns, soil erosion and degradation, increased vulnerability to climate change, including flooding and droughts. 3. Water scarcity in water-stressed regions. Water scarcity is a critical regional environmental issue affecting areas that face irregular rainfall, dry climates, or high population demands for water resources. Regions such as parts of the Middle East, North Africa, and South Asia are severely impacted by water scarcity, which has profound effects on agriculture, health, and economic development. In regions such as the Middle East and North Africa, MENA, over-reliance on groundwater and unsustainable water extraction practices, combined with limited natural freshwater resources, creates significant challenges for water management. Over-extraction of water from rivers, lakes, and aquifers leads to the depletion of freshwater resources, while pollution further limits water quality. This, in turn, exacerbates food insecurity, public health problems, and social unrest. Key causes of water scarcity: over-extraction of groundwater, pollution of freshwater resources, climate change affecting rainfall patterns, population growth and agricultural demands, regional impact, agricultural losses and food insecurity, conflicts over water resources between neighboring countries or regions, decreased access to potable water for local populations, health issues due to contaminated or inadequate water supplies. 4. Regional climate change and extreme weather events. The effects of climate change, such as more frequent and severe weather events, are often felt most acutely at the regional level. These regional variations in climate change can manifest as extreme weather events, including floods, droughts, heat waves, and storms. Regions like Southeast Asia, South Asia, the Caribbean, and Central America are particularly vulnerable to the impacts of climate change, which can alter seasonal weather patterns, disrupt agricultural systems, and pose risks to infrastructure and human health. In South Asia, countries like Bangladesh, India, and Pakistan face regular flooding and the risk of more intense monsoons, driven by changes in regional atmospheric patterns. Similarly, regions in the Pacific Islands and the Caribbean experience more intense hurricanes and tropical storms as a result of rising sea surface temperatures. These events not only cause immediate damage but also have long-term impacts on regional economies and livelihoods. Key causes of regional climate change impacts: rising global temperatures leading to regional warming, melting glaciers and polar ice contributing to rising sea levels, changes in ocean currents and atmospheric circulation patterns, deforestation and land use changes, regional impact, increased frequency and intensity of extreme weather events, floods, droughts, storms, damage to infrastructure and displacement of communities, disruption of agriculture, especially in vulnerable regions, loss of biodiversity and ecosystems, e.g., coral reefs in the Pacific. 5. Regional pollution, air, water, and soil. Pollution on a regional scale can have far-reaching impacts, particularly when pollutants spread across borders or affect entire ecosystems. Air pollution, for example, can travel long distances, affecting neighboring regions. In East Asia, air pollution from industrial activities and vehicle emissions is a regional concern, with countries like China, South Korea, and Japan all facing similar challenges due to wind patterns that carry pollutants across borders. Similarly, regional water pollution, such as the contamination of major river systems, e.g., the Ganges, Yangtze, or Mekong, affects large populations and ecosystems. Soil pollution from industrial waste, pesticides, and heavy metals is another growing regional concern. In many regions, industrial waste and agricultural runoff contaminate large swaths of land, leading to long-term degradation of soil quality and health risks for local populations. Key causes of regional pollution: industrial emissions and waste disposal, agricultural runoff, pesticides, fertilizers, mining and deforestation activities, urbanization and increased waste generation, regional impact, airborne pollutants affecting regional air quality and public health, water bodies contaminated by industrial effluents and agricultural runoff, soil degradation and loss of agricultural productivity, negative impacts on biodiversity and local ecosystems. 6. Regional conflict over natural resources. Regional conflicts over natural resources are often driven by environmental stressors such as water scarcity, land degradation, and the depletion of other resources. These conflicts are particularly common in regions where resources are shared across borders or where access to critical resources is highly contested. For example, in the Nile Basin, countries such as Egypt, Sudan, and Ethiopia have had long-standing tensions over the control and use of water from the Nile River, a vital resource for millions of people. Similarly, the competition for oil, minerals, and other valuable resources can lead to regional conflicts, particularly in resource-rich areas with weak governance structures. As climate change intensifies pressure on resources, the risk of resource-based conflict is expected to increase. Key causes of regional conflicts over resources: competition for access to shared water bodies, e.g., rivers, lakes, over-extraction of natural resources, e.g., oil, minerals, Inequitable distribution of resources among neighboring regions or countries. Economic and political instability. Regional impact. Displacement of populations due to resource scarcity. Escalation of political and military tensions. Economic instability and underdevelopment in conflict zones. Long-term environmental damage due to unsustainable resource extraction. Previous year questions. Question. Which of the following regions is most vulnerable to desertification? A. South Asia. B. Sub-Saharan Africa. C. North America. D. East Asia. Answer. B. Sub-Saharan Africa. Year 2017. Question. The primary cause of deforestation in the Amazon basin is A. Industrialization. B. Agriculture. C. Urbanization. D. Mining. Answer. B. Agriculture. Year 2018. Question. Water scarcity in the Middle East is primarily due to A. Climate change. B. Overextraction of groundwater. C. Pollution of water bodies. D. Lack of rainfall. Answer. B. Overextraction of groundwater. Year 2020. Question. Which of the following is a major regional environmental issue caused by overextraction of groundwater? A. Soil salinization. B. Desertification. C. Aquifer depletion. D. Acid rain. Answer. C. Aquifer depletion. Year 2021. Question. Which region is experiencing the most intense impacts of regional climate change, including more frequent and severe hurricanes? A. Southeast Asia. B. The Caribbean. C. Central Asia. D. Northern Europe. Answer. B. The Caribbean. Year 2022. Addressing regional environmental issues requires collaborative efforts at the local, national, and international levels. Solutions need to be tailored to the specific environmental, economic, and social contexts of each region. You said. Global. ChatGPT said. Environmental issues. Global perspectives. Global environmental issues are those that affect the planet as a whole, crossing national borders and often requiring international cooperation for solutions. These issues often arise from the unsustainable use of natural resources, pollution, habitat destruction, and the changing climate. Global environmental problems are interconnected and have widespread consequences that affect ecosystems, economies, and human health worldwide. Addressing these challenges requires coordinated efforts from governments, industries, scientists, and individuals at all levels. 1. Climate change. Climate change is one of the most pressing global environmental issues, driven primarily by the increase in greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, mainly carbon dioxide (CO2) from burning fossil fuels, deforestation, and agricultural practices. The impacts of climate change include rising global temperatures, more frequent and intense extreme weather events such as hurricanes, floods, and droughts shifting ecosystems, and rising sea levels. These effects threaten biodiversity, food security, and the stability of ecosystems worldwide. Key causes of climate change. Burning of fossil fuels, coal, oil, natural gas. Deforestation and land use changes. Industrial processes and agricultural practices, methane emissions. Transportation and waste management. Global impact. Rising global temperatures leading to more extreme weather events. Melting polar ice caps and glaciers, contributing to sea level rise. Disruption of ecosystems and loss of biodiversity. Threats to agriculture and food security, particularly in vulnerable regions. 2. Loss of biodiversity. Biodiversity refers to the variety of life on Earth, including ecosystems, species, and genetic diversity. The loss of biodiversity is a critical global environmental issue, as it affects ecosystem stability, resilience, and the services that ecosystems provide to humanity, such as clean air, water, and food. The primary drivers of biodiversity loss are habitat destruction, overexploitation of resources, pollution, invasive species, and climate change. The rate of species extinction is accelerating, with some estimates suggesting that species are disappearing 1,000 times faster than natural extinction rates. The most affected ecosystems include tropical rainforests, coral reefs, and wetlands. Key causes of biodiversity loss. Habitat destruction through deforestation, urbanization, and agriculture. Overexploitation of natural resources, overfishing, hunting, logging. Pollution, including chemical and plastic pollution. Climate change and its effects on ecosystems. Invasive species that outcompete native species. Global impact. Loss of ecosystem services, e.g., pollination, water purification, carbon sequestration. Disruption of food chains and ecosystem functions. Decreased resilience of ecosystems to climate change. Economic consequences due to the loss of natural resources. 3. Global pollution, air, water, and soil. Pollution is a widespread global issue that affects the air, water, and soil. Air pollution, primarily caused by industrial emissions, vehicle exhaust, and the burning of fossil fuels, is a major contributor to respiratory diseases, global warming, and environmental degradation. Water pollution, from chemicals, plastics, and untreated sewage, is a significant global issue that threatens freshwater supplies, marine ecosystems, and human health. Soil pollution, caused by the use of pesticides, fertilizers, and industrial waste, leads to soil degradation and loss of arable land. Key causes of global pollution. Industrial emissions and waste. Agricultural runoff and overuse of chemicals. Plastic waste and marine debris. Deforestation and land use changes. Global impact. Respiratory and cardiovascular diseases due to air pollution. Contamination of freshwater resources and marine environments. Soil degradation affecting food production. Increased greenhouse gas emissions contributing to climate change. 4. Overpopulation. Overpopulation refers to the condition in which the number of people exceeds the carrying capacity of the environment to provide resources such as food, water, and shelter. The world's population has been steadily increasing, and it is projected to reach nearly 9.7 billion by 2050. Overpopulation puts immense pressure on natural resources, leading to overconsumption, habitat destruction, and greater emissions of greenhouse gases. As the global population grows, more land is needed for agriculture, housing, and infrastructure, leading to deforestation and degradation of ecosystems. Overpopulation also strains water resources and contributes to the depletion of non-renewable resources. Key causes of overpopulation. High birth rates in certain regions. Decline in mortality rates due to advances in healthcare. Migration and urbanization. Global impact. Depletion of natural resources, water, fossil fuels, minerals. Increased pollution and waste generation. Loss of biodiversity due to habitat destruction. Increased pressure on food systems, leading to food insecurity. 5. Global water crisis. The global water crisis is a growing issue that affects billions of people around the world. While the planet has abundant water, only a small percentage is available for human consumption, and access to clean, safe water is not evenly distributed. Water scarcity is exacerbated by population growth, pollution, and overextraction of groundwater, particularly in arid and semi-arid regions. Climate change further exacerbates the water crisis by altering rainfall patterns, leading to more severe droughts in some areas and flooding in others. Key causes of the global water crisis. Overextraction of groundwater for agricultural and industrial use. Pollution of water bodies by industrial waste, plastics, and untreated sewage. Climate change leading to altered precipitation patterns. Inefficient water management and infrastructure. Global impact. Reduced access to potable water, leading to health crises. Increased competition for water resources, particularly in conflict-prone regions. Negative effects on agriculture, leading to food insecurity. Loss of aquatic ecosystems and biodiversity. 6. Global food security and sustainable agriculture. Food security is a global concern, with nearly 10% of the world's population facing hunger and malnutrition. Factors such as climate change, water scarcity, soil degradation, and overpopulation threaten global food production. Sustainable agriculture practices, including organic farming, agroforestry, and efficient water management, are crucial to ensuring that food systems can support growing populations while preserving ecosystems and reducing environmental degradation. Key causes of global food insecurity. Climate change leading to unpredictable weather patterns. Overexploitation of soil and water resources for agriculture. Inefficient food distribution systems and waste. Political instability and conflict disrupting food access. Global impact. Widespread hunger and malnutrition, particularly in developing countries. Loss of agricultural productivity due to climate change and land degradation. Increased competition for land and water resources for food production. Increased pressure on biodiversity as agricultural land expands. 7. Global warming and ice melt. Global warming refers to the long-term rise in Earth's average surface temperature due to the accumulation of greenhouse gases. The warming of the planet is causing the polar ice caps and glaciers to melt, leading to rising sea levels. This has significant global implications for coastal communities, low-lying islands, and ecosystems. Rising sea levels also increase the risk of flooding, displacement, and loss of valuable coastal habitats. Key causes of global warming. Emissions from the burning of fossil fuels. Deforestation and land use changes. Industrial processes and waste management. Agriculture and livestock production. Global impact. Rising sea levels leading to the loss of coastal land. Increased frequency and intensity of extreme weather events. Altered ecosystems and the displacement of species. Economic losses in coastal regions due to flooding and property damage. Previous year questions. Question. Which of the following is the primary cause of global warming? A. Deforestation. B. Fossil fuel consumption. C. Overpopulation. D. Ozone depletion. Answer. B. Fossil fuel consumption. Year 2019. Question. The loss of biodiversity is primarily caused by A. Pollution. B. Climate change. C. Habitat destruction. D. Overfishing. Answer. C. Habitat destruction. Year 2018. Question. Which of the following is a significant consequence of global water scarcity? A. Increased agricultural productivity. B. Migration of populations. C. Rise in sea levels. D. Loss of biodiversity. Answer. B. Migration of populations. Year 2020. Question. Which sector contributes the most to global greenhouse gas emissions? A. Transportation. B. Agriculture. C. Energy production. D. Industrial processes. Answer. C. Energy production. Year 2021. Question. The primary driver of deforestation in tropical rainforests is A. Commercial logging. B. Urbanization. C. Agriculture. D. Mining. Answer. C. Agriculture. Year 2022. Global environmental challenges are interconnected and require coordinated international action to address. Governments, businesses, and individuals must work together to mitigate these issues through sustainable practices, innovative solutions, and global cooperation. You said. Air pollution. ChatGPT said. Air pollution, a global environmental issue. Air pollution refers to the presence of harmful substances in the atmosphere that can cause damage to human health, the environment, and the climate. These substances can be in the form of gases, particulates, or biological molecules. Air pollution is one of the most significant global environmental issues, as it affects air quality, contributes to climate change, and leads to serious health problems, including respiratory and cardiovascular diseases. The primary sources of air pollution are both natural and human-made, but human activities, especially industrialization, urbanization, and transportation, have been the primary contributors in recent decades. Sources of air pollution. Natural sources. Volcanic eruptions. Volcanoes release large amounts of ash, gases such as sulfur dioxide, and aerosols into the atmosphere, contributing to short-term air pollution. Wildfires. Fires, both natural and human-caused, release particulate matter, carbon monoxide, and other gases into the air. Dust storms. Arid regions are prone to dust storms, which carry large amounts of particulate matter (PM) into the air. Biological sources. Plants, forests, and wetlands release volatile organic compounds, box contributing to ozone formation. Anthropogenic human-made sources. Burning of fossil fuels. The largest source of air pollution comes from burning coal, oil, and natural gas for electricity generation, industrial processes, and transportation. This produces large amounts of carbon dioxide, CO2, nitrogen oxides, NOx, sulfur dioxide, CO2, and particulate matter. Industrial emissions. Factories and chemical plants release a variety of pollutants, including volatile organic compounds, box, sulfur compounds, and particulate matter. Vehicle emissions. The combustion of gasoline and diesel fuels in vehicles is a significant source of nitrogen oxides, carbon monoxide, hydrocarbons, and particulate matter. Agricultural practices. Livestock farming produces methane, CH4, a potent greenhouse gas, and agricultural activities contribute to ammonia emissions, which can lead to the formation of secondary particulate matter. Deforestation. The clearing of forests releases carbon stored in trees and adds to the particulate matter in the air. Waste management. Improper disposal of waste, such as burning of plastics and other materials, releases hazardous chemicals into the air. Types of air pollutants. Particulate matter PM. PM 2.5. Fine particulate matter with a diameter of less than 2.5 micrometers, which can penetrate deep into the lungs and bloodstream. It is linked to respiratory and cardiovascular diseases, as well as cancer. PM 10. Types of air pollutants. Particulate matter PM. PM 2.5. Fine particulate matter with a diameter of less than 2.5 micrometers, which can penetrate deep into the lungs and bloodstream. It is linked to respiratory and cardiovascular diseases, as well as cancer. PM 10. Coarse particles with a diameter between 2.5 and 10 micrometers. They are also harmful to health. PM 2.5. Fine particulate matter with a diameter of less than 2.5 micrometers, which can penetrate deep into the lungs and bloodstream. It is linked to respiratory and cardiovascular diseases, as well as cancer. PM 10. Coarse particles with a diameter between 2.5 and 10 micrometers. They are also harmful to health, but their impact is less severe than PM 2.5. Gaseous pollutants. Carbon monoxide (CO), a colorless, odorless gas produced by the incomplete combustion of carbon-containing fuels. It reduces the oxygen-carrying capacity of blood, leading to serious health risks, particularly in poorly ventilated spaces. Nitrogen oxides (NOx) gases such as nitrogen dioxide number 2 and nitric oxide (NO) primarily produced from vehicle emissions and industrial processes. NOx contributes to the formation of ground-level ozone, smog, and acid rain. Sulfur dioxide (SO2), a gas produced by the burning of fossil fuels, particularly coal. It can cause respiratory problems and contribute to the formation of acid rain. Ozone O3. While ozone is beneficial in the upper atmosphere, where it forms a protective layer against ultraviolet radiation, ground-level ozone is a harmful pollutant that causes respiratory issues and contributes to smog. Volatile organic compounds (VOCs), a group of chemicals released from industrial processes, vehicle exhaust, and solvents. VOCs contribute to the formation of ground-level ozone and smog. PM 2.5. Fine particulate matter with a diameter of less than 2.5 micrometers, which can penetrate deep into the lungs and bloodstream. It is linked to respiratory and cardiovascular diseases, as well as cancer. PM 10. Coarse particles with a diameter between 2.5 and 10 micrometers. They are also harmful to health, but their impact is less severe than PM 2.5. Gaseous pollutants. Carbon monoxide (CO), a colorless, odorless gas produced by the incomplete combustion of carbon-containing fuels. It reduces the oxygen-carrying capacity of blood, leading to serious health risks, particularly in poorly ventilated spaces. Nitrogen oxides (NOx) gases such as nitrogen dioxide number 2 and nitric oxide (NO) primarily produced from vehicle emissions and industrial processes. NOx contributes to the formation of ground-level ozone, smog, and acid rain. Sulfur dioxide (SO2), a gas produced by the burning of fossil fuels, particularly coal. It can cause respiratory problems and contribute to the formation of acid rain. Ozone O3. While ozone is beneficial in the upper atmosphere, where it forms a protective layer against ultraviolet radiation, ground-level ozone is a harmful pollutant that causes respiratory issues and contributes to smog. Volatile organic compounds (VOCs), a group of chemicals released from industrial processes, vehicle exhaust, and solvents. VOCs contribute to the formation of ground-level ozone and smog. Ammonia NH3 primarily emitted from agricultural activities, particularly livestock farming. Ammonia can contribute to secondary particulate matter formation. Impacts of air pollution. Health impacts. Respiratory diseases. Prolonged exposure to air pollution increases the risk of asthma, bronchitis, emphysema, and other chronic respiratory diseases. Cardiovascular diseases. Air pollution, particularly fine particulate matter, is associated with an increased risk of heart attacks, strokes, and hypertension. Cancer. Long-term exposure to carcinogenic pollutants, such as benzene, formaldehyde, and certain particulate matter, increases the risk of lung cancer and other cancers. Premature mortality. Exposure to high levels of air pollution contributes to premature deaths, particularly in urban areas with high pollution levels. Environmental impacts. Acid rain. Air pollutants like sulfur dioxide, SO2, and nitrogen oxides NOx combine with water vapor in the atmosphere to form acids, which then fall as acid rain. Acid rain harms aquatic ecosystems, damages plant life, and erodes buildings. Global warming. Some air pollutants, such as black carbon and methane, are potent climate forcers that contribute to global warming by trapping heat in the atmosphere. Ozone depletion. Certain chemicals, including chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs, contribute to the depletion of the ozone layer, which protects the Earth from harmful ultraviolet radiation. Smog formation. Ground-level ozone, a key component of smog, is harmful to both human health and vegetation. It reduces visibility and harms crop yields. Economic impacts. Healthcare costs. The health impacts of air pollution place a significant burden on healthcare systems, with increased medical expenses related to respiratory and cardiovascular diseases. Agricultural losses. Air pollution can reduce crop yields by damaging plant tissues and interfering with photosynthesis, leading to economic losses in the agricultural sector. Reduced productivity. Workers in polluted environments are more likely to suffer from health problems, leading to absenteeism and reduced productivity. Damage to infrastructure. Acid rain and pollutants can damage buildings, roads, and other infrastructure, leading to increased maintenance costs. Solutions to air pollution. Regulatory measures. Air quality standards. Governments should set and enforce strict air quality standards for pollutants such as particulate matter, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides, and carbon monoxide. Emission control technologies. The adoption of advanced emission control technologies, such as scrubbers and catalytic converters, can reduce pollutants from industrial processes and vehicles. International agreements. Global cooperation through international agreements like the Paris Agreement can help reduce greenhouse gas emissions and curb global air pollution. Cleaner technologies. Renewable energy. Transitioning to renewable energy sources, such as solar, wind, and hydropower, can significantly reduce air pollution from fossil fuel combustion. Electric vehicles. Promoting electric vehicles, EVs, can reduce air pollution from transportation, as EVs produce zero emissions. Green infrastructure. Investing in green infrastructure, such as urban forests, green roofs, and sustainable urban planning, can help absorb pollutants and reduce urban air pollution. Public awareness and education. Public awareness campaigns, educating the public about the sources and effects of air pollution, as well as ways to reduce personal exposure, can encourage behavioral changes, such as reducing car usage and avoiding outdoor activities on days with poor air quality. Support for clean transportation. Encouraging the use of public transportation, cycling, and walking can help reduce vehicle emissions and improve air quality. Previous year questions. Question. Which of the following is a primary source of air pollution in urban areas? A. Deforestation. B. Industrial emissions. C. Vehicle exhaust. D. Volcanic eruptions. Answer. C. Vehicle exhaust. Year 2019. Question. Which of the following gases is primarily responsible for the formation of acid rain? A. Carbon dioxide. B. Methane. C. Sulfur dioxide. D. Nitrogen oxides. Answer. C. Sulfur dioxide. Year 2020. Question. What is the main effect of ground-level ozone on human health? A. Respiratory problems. B. Skin cancer. C. Eye irritation. D. Liver damage. Answer. A. Respiratory problems. Year 2021. Question. Which of the following is a consequence of prolonged exposure to fine particulate matter PM2.5? A. Asthma and lung diseases. B. Skin diseases. C. Increased blood pressure. D. Kidney failure. Answer. A. Asthma and lung diseases. Year 2022. Question. The most common greenhouse gas responsible for global warming is A. Methane. B. Carbon dioxide. C. Nitrous oxide. D. Ozone. Answer. B. Carbon dioxide. Year 2021. Air pollution is a critical issue that requires immediate and sustained global attention. By adopting cleaner technologies, enforcing regulatory measures, and raising public awareness, we can reduce the harmful impacts of air pollution and protect both human health and the environment. You said. Water pollution. ChatGPT said. Water pollution, a critical environmental issue. Water pollution refers to the contamination of water bodies, such as lakes, rivers, oceans, and groundwater, by harmful substances. These pollutants can significantly impact aquatic ecosystems, public health, and the economy. Water pollution is one of the most pressing environmental challenges today, primarily driven by human activities, including industrial discharges, agricultural runoff, and improper waste disposal. Water is a critical resource for life on Earth, and its contamination has far-reaching consequences for both the environment and society. Sources of water pollution: industrial discharges. Chemicals and heavy metals. Factories and industrial plants release a variety of toxic chemicals, including heavy metals like mercury, lead, and arsenic, into nearby water bodies. These substances are highly toxic to aquatic life and can accumulate in the food chain, posing serious health risks to humans. Thermal pollution. The discharge of heated water from power plants and industrial facilities raises the temperature of water bodies, reducing oxygen levels and threatening aquatic life. Petrochemical spills. Oil spills and leaks from ships, pipelines, and refineries can have catastrophic effects on marine and freshwater ecosystems, coating wildlife and damaging habitats. Agricultural runoff. Nutrient pollution. Eutrophication. Excessive use of fertilizers in agriculture leads to runoff containing nitrogen and phosphorus into water bodies. This causes nutrient pollution, which promotes the overgrowth of algae, known as eutrophication. Algae blooms deplete oxygen levels, resulting in dead zones where aquatic life cannot survive. Pesticides and herbicides. Chemicals used to control pests and weeds in agriculture often find their way into nearby water sources. These chemicals can harm aquatic organisms and contaminate drinking water supplies. Sedimentation. The clearing of land for agriculture increases soil erosion, which leads to sediment runoff into water bodies. This sedimentation can suffocate aquatic plants and disturb aquatic ecosystems. Urban and domestic waste. Sewage and wastewater. Improperly treated sewage and wastewater from households and industries contain harmful bacteria, viruses, and chemicals, leading to contamination of water bodies. Inadequate sanitation systems can exacerbate the problem, especially in developing countries. Plastic waste. Improper disposal of plastic materials results in their accumulation in water bodies. Plastics pose a significant threat to marine life and can be ingested by animals, leading to injury or death. Detergents and chemicals. Household products, such as detergents, paints, and solvents, can enter water bodies through domestic waste disposal, introducing harmful chemicals that impact water quality. Mining and deforestation. Acid mine drainage. Mining activities, especially coal and metal mining, can result in the leaching of acidic compounds into nearby water bodies. Acid mine drainage can lower the pH of water, harming aquatic organisms and reducing biodiversity. Deforestation. The clearing of forests for development or agriculture can increase runoff, which carries soil, organic matter, and pollutants into water bodies. The loss of vegetation also reduces the natural filtration of water, exacerbating pollution. Marine pollution. Oil spills. Large-scale oil spills from tankers, offshore drilling, and oil rigs can devastate marine ecosystems, coat beaches, and disrupt local economies. Oil is toxic to marine life and can cause long-lasting environmental damage. Chemical discharges. Industrial waste, including solvents and heavy metals, discharged into the sea, can accumulate in marine ecosystems, affecting marine life and human health. Types of water pollutants. Biological pollutants. Pathogens, bacteria, viruses, and parasites from sewage and animal waste can contaminate water and lead to diseases such as cholera, dysentery, and typhoid fever. Algal blooms. Excessive nutrients, mainly nitrogen and phosphorus, promote the growth of harmful algae. These blooms can produce toxins that are harmful to aquatic life, wildlife, and humans. Chemical pollutants. Heavy metals. Metals such as mercury, lead, and cadmium are highly toxic and can accumulate in the bodies of aquatic organisms, including fish. They can cause neurological and developmental damage in both humans and animals. Nutrients. Nitrogen and phosphorus. Over-enrichment of water bodies with nitrogen and phosphorus from agricultural runoff leads to nutrient pollution, causing eutrophication and hypoxia, low oxygen levels. Pesticides and herbicides. Agricultural chemicals can persist in water bodies for long periods, harming aquatic organisms and entering the food chain. Industrial chemicals. Substances like polychlorinated biphenyls, PCBs, and dioxins, which are used in industrial processes, are toxic to both aquatic life and humans. Physical pollutants. Sediments. Erosion from construction sites, deforestation, and agricultural activities can lead to sediment runoff, which clouds the water and disrupts the habitat of aquatic organisms. Thermal pollution. Discharge of heated water from industrial processes or power plants raises water temperatures, decreasing oxygen levels and making the environment inhospitable for many aquatic species. Plastic and solid waste. Plastics. Non-biodegradable plastic waste accumulates in rivers, lakes, and oceans, where it poses significant threats to marine and freshwater life. Animals ingest plastics, which can cause suffocation, starvation, or poisoning. Other solid waste, garbage, including metals, glass, and other waste materials, can pollute water bodies and harm aquatic ecosystems. Impacts of water pollution. Human health. Contaminated water is a major cause of waterborne diseases, including cholera, dysentery, and malaria. Pathogens in polluted water can cause severe illness or death, particularly in developing countries with inadequate sanitation and water treatment facilities. Heavy metals and toxic chemicals from polluted water can accumulate in the human food chain through the consumption of contaminated fish and aquatic plants, leading to long-term health issues such as cancer, kidney disease, and neurological disorders. Aquatic ecosystems. Water pollution disrupts the balance of aquatic ecosystems, leading to loss of biodiversity. Chemical pollutants, such as heavy metals and pesticides, can cause the death of aquatic organisms, while nutrient pollution can lead to algal blooms and dead zones, where oxygen levels are too low to support life. Pollutants can also affect the reproductive health of aquatic species, disrupt food chains, and cause habitat destruction, threatening species survival. Economic impacts. Fisheries. Pollution harms the fishing industry by contaminating aquatic life and reducing fish stocks. Contaminants in fish and shellfish can also harm human health, leading to reduced marketability and losses for the fishing sector. Tourism. Polluted water bodies deter tourism, especially in coastal and recreational areas. The presence of algae blooms, oil spills, and contaminated water affects the attractiveness of these areas. Agriculture. Contaminated water used for irrigation can damage crops and reduce agricultural productivity. Nutrient pollution, for instance, can affect crop yields and soil health. Solutions to water pollution. Wastewater treatment. Establishing and upgrading wastewater treatment plants is critical to preventing the release of untreated sewage and industrial waste into water bodies. Advanced filtration and disinfection technologies can remove harmful substances before they reach water sources. Regulation and enforcement. Governments must implement and enforce strict regulations on industrial discharges, agricultural runoff, and waste disposal to minimize water pollution. Regulatory frameworks, such as the Clean Water Act in the United States, help manage and reduce pollutants. Sustainable agricultural practices. Encouraging the use of organic farming, integrated pest management, and soil conservation practices can reduce the amount of chemicals and fertilizers that run off into water bodies. Buffer zones of vegetation can help trap pollutants before they reach water bodies. Public awareness and education. Public campaigns can raise awareness about the importance of protecting water sources and the dangers of improper waste disposal. Education programs can promote sustainable practices such as recycling, proper disposal of chemicals, and reducing plastic use. Pollution prevention. Reducing the generation of waste at the source, including minimizing the use of harmful chemicals, adopting cleaner technologies, and using less toxic materials, can significantly reduce water pollution. Previous year questions. Question: which of the following is a major consequence of eutrophication in water bodies? A. Decrease in aquatic biodiversity. B. Increase in dissolved oxygen. C. Reduction in suspended particles. D. Decrease in soil erosion. Answer: A. Decrease in aquatic biodiversity year 2018. Question: which of the following is not considered a water pollutant? A. Heavy metals. B. Plastic waste. C. Carbon dioxide. D. Pesticides. Answer: C. Carbon dioxide year 2019. Question: the discharge of untreated sewage into rivers and lakes can result in which of the following? A. Reduction of water temperature. B. Increased concentration of oxygen in water. B. Increased concentration of oxygen in water. C. Increased risk of waterborne diseases. D. Increase in the number of aquatic species. Answer: C. Increased risk of waterborne diseases year 2020. Question: what is the primary source of nutrient pollution in water bodies? A. Industrial emissions. B. Agricultural runoff. C. Plastic waste. D. Deforestation. Answer: B. Agricultural runoff year 2021. Question: which of the following pollutants is most likely to cause eutrophication? A. Nitrogen and phosphorus. B. Sulfur dioxide. C. Carbon monoxide. D. Lead. Answer: A. Nitrogen and phosphorus year 2022. Water pollution is a critical environmental challenge that threatens both human health and the environment. Effective management strategies, including regulatory measures, waste treatment, and sustainable practices, are essential to reducing water pollution and ensuring clean water for future generations. You said, soil pollution. ChatGPT said, soil pollution, an environmental crisis. Soil pollution refers to the contamination of the soil environment with harmful substances that degrade its quality, disrupt natural ecosystems, and pose significant risks to human health, plant growth, and biodiversity. Soil is a crucial component of the environment, providing support for agriculture, maintaining water filtration, and serving as a habitat for a wide variety of organisms. When polluted, soil can lose its fertility, leading to reduced agricultural productivity, compromised food safety, and ecosystem disruption. Sources of soil pollution: industrial activities. Toxic chemical discharges. Industrial processes often release harmful chemicals into the soil, such as heavy metals, e.g., lead, mercury, arsenic, and organic compounds. These substances can accumulate in the soil and persist for long periods, contaminating plant roots and entering the food chain. Waste disposal. Improper disposal of industrial waste, including solvents, oils, and chemicals, can lead to soil contamination. Landfills, especially those with improper lining, can leak hazardous materials into surrounding soils. Mining activities. Mining, particularly coal and metal extraction, generates large amounts of waste that can contaminate surrounding soils with heavy metals, acids, and other toxic byproducts, such as acid mine drainage. Agricultural practices. Pesticides and herbicides. The widespread use of chemical pesticides and herbicides in agriculture introduces toxic substances into the soil. These chemicals can harm beneficial soil organisms, reduce soil fertility, and contaminate groundwater. Some pesticides also persist in the soil for extended periods, leading to long-term environmental damage. Fertilizers. Excessive use of synthetic fertilizers leads to nutrient imbalances in the soil. When not absorbed by plants, these fertilizers leach into the soil, causing nutrient overload. The resulting environmental problems, including the contamination of groundwater and eutrophication of water bodies, are significant. Monoculture farming. Growing a single crop over large areas year after year depletes specific soil nutrients, resulting in soil degradation and increased susceptibility to pollution from synthetic inputs. Animal manure. In large-scale livestock farming, the improper disposal of animal waste can lead to contamination of the soil with antibiotics, hormones, and pathogens, which can harm soil health and affect crop quality. Urbanization and construction. Construction waste. The construction industry generates large amounts of waste, including cement, paints, solvents, and plastics. These substances can end up contaminating the soil, particularly in areas lacking proper waste management. E-waste disposal. The improper disposal of electronic waste, e-waste, in landfills or open environments introduces toxic metals such as cadmium, lead, and mercury into the soil, posing a serious risk to both human and environmental health. Solid waste and improper waste disposal. Plastic waste. Improper disposal of plastic products contributes to soil pollution as plastics are non-biodegradable and accumulate in the soil. Over time, plastics degrade into microplastics, which can persist in the soil for hundreds of years. Household waste. The improper disposal of household waste, including chemicals, paints, oils, and cleaning agents, can lead to soil contamination. Many household products contain substances that are toxic to soil organisms and can cause long-term pollution. Landfills. When landfills are not managed properly, they can leak hazardous waste into the surrounding environment, including the soil. Contaminants like methane gas and leachates from landfills are harmful to the soil and can contribute to environmental degradation. Deforestation and soil erosion. Forest clearing. Deforestation for agricultural expansion, urbanization, or logging exposes the soil to erosion and reduces its natural ability to filter pollutants. The removal of vegetation increases soil susceptibility to contamination from runoff, which can carry pesticides, fertilizers, and other chemicals into the soil. Soil erosion. Soil erosion exacerbates pollution by removing the upper layers of soil, which are often rich in organic matter. Erosion can also redistribute pollutants over large areas, making soil contamination more widespread. Types of soil pollutants. Heavy metals. Lead PB often found in industrial waste. Lead contamination in soil can cause neurological and developmental issues in humans and animals. Lead can also inhibit plant growth and harm soil organisms. Mercury Hg. Mercury is a toxic metal that can accumulate in soil and disrupt ecosystems. It can be released through industrial emissions, waste disposal, or mining activities. Cadmium Cd. Cadmium is commonly introduced into the soil through industrial processes, fertilizers, and sewage sludge. It is highly toxic and can accumulate in crops, posing a threat to food safety. Arsenic. Arsenic contamination in soil is often linked to mining and agricultural activities. It is a carcinogen and can poison plants and animals, leading to long-term health risks. Organic pollutants. Pesticides and herbicides. These chemicals, used to protect crops from pests and weeds, can contaminate the soil when overused or improperly disposed of. Persistent pesticides, such as DDT, can remain in the soil for decades, poisoning plants, soil organisms, and wildlife. Solvents and oils. Industrial and household solvents, such as benzene, toluene, and oils, can seep into the soil and cause long-term contamination. These chemicals can harm microbial communities in the soil, reducing its ability to support plant growth. Nutrient pollution. Nitrogen and phosphorus. Overuse of synthetic fertilizers containing nitrogen and phosphorus leads to nutrient pollution in soil. This overload of nutrients can disrupt the natural microbial balance, harm plant roots, and contribute to soil acidification. Ammonia. Ammonia, often released from agricultural waste, is toxic to soil organisms and can reduce soil fertility. It can also be converted into nitrates, which may leach into groundwater, causing further environmental problems. Plastic pollution. Microplastics. Plastics that break down into small particles. Microplastics are increasingly found in soils. These microplastics can affect soil structure, disrupt microbial activity, and potentially enter the food chain through plants. Impacts of soil pollution. Impact on agriculture. Soil pollution significantly reduces agricultural productivity by affecting soil fertility, structure, and microbial activity. Contaminants such as heavy metals and pesticides can inhibit plant growth, reduce crop yields, and lead to the accumulation of toxins in edible plants. The contamination of soil with persistent chemicals can result in long-term degradation of soil quality, reducing the land's suitability for farming and potentially leading to land abandonment. Impact on human health. Soil pollution can directly affect human health by contaminating the food supply. Crops grown in polluted soils can accumulate heavy metals, pesticides, and other toxic substances, which can be harmful when consumed. Soil contamination can also affect drinking water quality, especially when pollutants leach into groundwater sources, leading to a higher risk of waterborne diseases and chemical poisoning. Impact on biodiversity. Soil pollution harms biodiversity by disrupting ecosystems and the natural balance of soil organisms. Pollutants can kill or inhibit the growth of beneficial soil organisms such as earthworms, fungi, and microbes, which are essential for maintaining soil fertility and supporting plant life. Reduced biodiversity in the soil leads to a decline in ecosystem services, such as nutrient cycling, water filtration, and pollination, further exacerbating environmental problems. Impact on soil structure. The presence of toxic chemicals, such as heavy metals and solvents, can disrupt the physical and chemical properties of the soil. Pollutants can reduce soil porosity, water holding capacity, and nutrient availability, leading to soil degradation and desertification. Solutions to soil pollution. Sustainable agricultural practices. The adoption of organic farming methods, integrated pest management, and crop rotation can reduce the reliance on chemical pesticides and fertilizers, minimizing soil contamination. Additionally, organic farming enhances soil health and restores microbial diversity. The use of natural fertilizers, such as compost and manure, helps replenish soil nutrients without introducing harmful chemicals. Waste management and recycling. Proper disposal and recycling of industrial, agricultural, and household waste are essential for preventing soil pollution. Encouraging waste segregation, recycling, and reducing plastic use can mitigate the risk of contamination. E-waste recycling programs can help prevent the leaching of heavy metals into the soil from improperly disposed electronics. Reforestation and soil conservation. Planting trees and adopting soil conservation techniques, such as terracing and contour farming, can reduce soil erosion, promote nutrient cycling, and restore soil health. Forests act as natural filters, preventing pollutants from reaching the soil. Bioremediation. Bioremediation is an eco-friendly technique that uses microorganisms, plants, or fungi to degrade or absorb pollutants in the soil. This method can help detoxify contaminated soils and restore their fertility over time. Previous year questions. Question: which of the following is a major source of heavy metal contamination in soils? A. Industrial waste. B. Agricultural runoff. C. Urban waste. D. E-waste disposal. Answer: A. Industrial waste. Year 2017. Question: what is the main consequence of overusing chemical pesticides in agriculture? A. Soil erosion. B. Soil contamination. C. Increased biodiversity. D. Improvement of soil structure. Answer: B. Soil contamination. Year 2018. Question: the accumulation of which substance in the soil can lead to reduced plant growth and fertility? A. Nitrogen. B. Phosphorus. C. Heavy metals. D. Oxygen. Answer: C. Heavy metals. Year 2019. Question: which of the following practices can help reduce soil contamination from pesticides? A. Monoculture farming. B. Use of organic fertilizers. C. Excessive irrigation. D. Overgrazing. Answer: B. Use of organic fertilizers. Year 2020. Question: what is the primary impact of soil pollution on human health? A. Increased water availability. B. Decreased food security. C. Improved agricultural productivity. D. Enhanced soil fertility. Answer: B. Decreased food security. Year 2021. Soil pollution remains one of the most serious environmental threats to both ecosystems and human health. Addressing this issue requires coordinated efforts in sustainable agriculture, waste management, and land restoration to ensure the long-term health of our planet's soil. You said. Noise pollution. ChatGPT said. Noise pollution, an overlooked environmental hazard. Noise pollution refers to the excessive, unwanted, or harmful sounds that disrupt the natural acoustic environment. It is a growing problem in urban areas due to the increase in industrial activities, transportation systems, and population density. While sound is a natural phenomenon, when it becomes too loud, persistent, or intrusive, it can lead to various environmental and health issues. Noise pollution is often underestimated in environmental discussions, but its impacts are widespread and severe. Sources of noise pollution: transportation. Road traffic. The constant movement of vehicles such as cars, trucks, buses, and motorcycles contributes significantly to noise pollution. The noise emanates from the engines, horns, and tire friction on the road, especially in busy urban centers. Air traffic. Aircraft noise is a major source of pollution in areas near airports. The noise generated during takeoff, landing, and the engine operation of airplanes can be heard over a large area, disturbing both humans and wildlife. Rail traffic. Trains, especially those with heavy loads or high speeds, produce significant noise. Railway stations and tracks are common sources of rail-related noise pollution, which can affect nearby communities. Industrial and construction activities. Factories, industrial machinery, inflood,